My goodness. Team No Sleep, August 9th, 2023. One day before my son turns 19, and I don't know what to do with myself. Montel Allen, what's going on with you, brother?
Oh man, first of all, happy pre-birthday. You know,
Pre-birthday, goodness gracious.
pre-birthday. We're gonna put a little 50 Cent on for him, that's for sure. You know,
I'm,
in the
I'm,
club, boy,
I'm gonna
he
put a little
partying,
lick
yeah.
out for him. Do
Yeah,
all those
yeah,
kind of things. Do all those kind of things. Yeah,
yeah,
man. So
absolutely, man. We good, man. Living, blessed, can't complain, man. Just I still got 10 toes down and I can breathe, man. It's always a good day.
that is true. That is true. Let me see what's going on here. I see we got some comments. Let me make sure. Why can't I get my comments right? Lord have mercy. Did I break something already? I don't know. Probably. But uh, we got a handful of stories to get into, and want to get some people's opinions on them. So hopefully, I see folks chiming in. Appreciate y'all for all being here. Love to have some engagement about some of these stories, and let's go ahead and get right into it, man. Um,
Yes.
we talk a lot about players that are still playing, players that have either retired, players that have gone through some things. Training camp is happening right now for NFL. So this particular story right here, Mike McKenzie, cornerback,
Hmm.
retired, used to play for the Saints. He's
Yep.
got a concern. He and a lot of ex-players have a concern about, listen, they're giving their life, they're giving their body to the sport, to the game. And once they get out, we know the stories about CTE. Right, but you don't find that out until you're already passed on. And but we
Yeah.
also know the stories about knee injuries, blowing out Achilles, all those things. But just trying to get uh, coverage and trying to get support when your body is broken. Right, you're a cornerback like he is, or like he was, or you're a running back who already has a short shelf span,
Hmm.
and it's coming to light, man, that a lot of these players, ex players, aren't feeling the love from the NFL when it comes to them needing to get medical attention to their needs and to their injuries and things like that. I'll pull the story up a little bit more as we're talking. But what were your thoughts on just that headline right there? Right, former Saints cornerback Mike McKenzie. Once you're no longer playing, the NFL stops caring. Man, that's a hard line right there, right?
And I think that's 100% facts. I think he's speaking the truth. I think once you stop playing in the NFL, they do stop caring. They don't really, you're no longer an employee or embodied within that organization. You're an ex. And, what do we do when we deal with ex-girlfriends and all that? We cut them off. We have nothing to do with them to that point. I don't really, but I believe those players that have a grief with the NFL not caring, I think their grief needs to be more with the NFLPA, the Players Association,
Okay.
right? They're supposed to be like the union behind this to make sure those guys are taken care of. That there is some stuff set up to make sure they're okay for the long haul. Um, I think they need to argue before that. But the problem with the NFLPA is they're always arguing about money. They want to argue about the now instead about what's going on in the future or what happens after a player. It's notorious for being that way. I don't even know if people follow it. The NFLPA is really about what's going on now and getting the players what they get now and get their compensation what they're supposed to be now, and they don't care about you 4 or 5 years later on in your career when your body's aching and you can't move and those injuries start to catch up to you, or providing training for your next step in life, right? Because a lot of guys are done in the NFL by the time they're 26, 25, 26,
Right.
27. The career's over with. Now it's like, what are you going to do? That's where I think there's the break right there. They don't provide training for them to go into another career or another career set. They don't show them how to use their degrees, of the ones that got degrees, what they're going to do, or how, if they own a business, how to run it efficiently. I think those things need to be put in place. And I don't think it's the NFL's job to do it. It's the Players Association that they pay dues into, that they have there to support them. That union needs to carry on beyond the now. It needs to help guys afterwards,
Okay,
in my
so
opinion.
so let me ask this, and my apologies. I see my comments aren't showing up on the screen, but I will read them. Hit the spot 1006. Appreciate you for being here, my friend. She says that's with any sport; they forget you when you're no longer playing. So, and I want to read this statement here from the article. It says, "I always imagined my life in retirement would be filled with pursuing other passions and spending time with my family. That everybody wants that.
Mm-hmm.
Instead, I spend my days in dark rooms to avoid headaches. I rely on my wife to help me navigate my medical issues and look after our children, and I am plagued with constant pain." So the fact that You don't feel that there's some onus on the NFL as a whole and as well to take care of this? Yeah, I understand the Players Association,
I,
right? Because they've got
I,
representatives, but
I
I'm
think
just
I
wondering where
think
the buck should be on this, man.
I think the bucket should be on educating yourself in this situation. I don't think I think the NFL can take some responsibility, but not all of the burden. Man, they're you are highly compensated to do what you do, just like boxers. They are highly compensated to go in there and get their head knocked off. Right? That's part of the nature of the job. You need to have foregoing or foresight to say, you know what, I need to
Hmm.
plan for that rainy day. Don't we talk about that all the time? We
That
have
is
to
true.
plan for
No,
a
that's
rainy
true.
day. We got to
Yeah.
make sure we stack some money away for a rainy day. We got to make sure we have these things aligned for a rainy day. It's the same with the NFL. Just because you're on TV, you make millions of dollars. Once that goes, you still got to plan for what's going to be your next step or your next journey in life. And unfortunately, that's where the break is. No one teaches them that, right? They get in that lifestyle. They're stuck in that lifestyle, and then when the check stop to end, and reality starts to set in that you're now no longer the NFL player in real life. Now that has to set in. Again, is that the NFL's fault that you're not educating yourself? I mean, maybe they are supposed to educate you a little bit and tell you how to manage it, but most of them are resistant to the education that they do provide. A lot of them don't want to educate themselves, and no big brother's not reaching back to show you how to do things. And then the Players Association is not showing you how to do things. All that being said, that's a mixture for disaster.
I
It is. I mean, I hate to say it, but it is, and it's unfortunate.
Yeah, it just seems like that's wrong, and I hear what you're saying. I'm not here to debate you.
Yeah,
I'm kind of sensitive to corporate America and sensitive to corporations right now, just because of the things that are going on. But I just feel I would expect something as large as the National Football League would take care of their players who are out there, and these players are making these millions of dollars. Yeah, I can understand the onus should be on them to make sure that they invest that money, to make sure they take care of themselves pre, intra, and post their careers, but I would say be more proactive in that. And I just wonder why that is not happening. And I also am curious. I would love. I know we get a lot of other athletes, different sports that watch and listen to us as well. I would love to get their take on this. Gretchen, appreciate you. I see you here, my friend. I checked out your stream. You got some amazing stuff. I'm gonna put your link in the description so folks can check you out. Mr. Cox is saying no one gets their hand held because they get a degree. Why should athletes get more?
I agree, but I mean, there, like you said, there's two sides to the coin,
Yeah.
right? There should be some empathy, right, or some like you said, a little bit of responsibility on the play on the NFL side. I say very far. I think more than the NFL, it's more the Players Association because they're in a position to set up these programs for the long haul for athletes afterwards. And so when they do run into these situations of being depressed and they have these agonizing pain that last for a long time, there's some avenue for them to be taken care of. Um, but again, you have to be able to foresee these things happening. He's not the first corner to ever play football in the NFL. He's not the first person to ever go through these depression stages and be in darkness, having constant migraines, and seeing what the next life is going to be, how hard that transition is. I'm not sure why people are not educating themselves how that transition is going to be and what's going to happen in that scenario. Um, I just don't think it's the NFL. So and unfortunately, this business, that's capitalistic business. They don't care. Just like other businesses don't care either. They just don't care. They're worried more about the bottom line. And when you're done, you're no longer a part of the bottom line. So they figure they don't have to have any empathy. The crazy part, they don't even get a severance pay when they retire, right? They just gone. Hey,
Yeah.
days over, no pay, no nothing, no training for 90 days to find another job, no resources to help you with your resume. None of that. You just done. And that part right there, not preparing them for the other side of the fence once they're finished with the league, that's the part that I think the NFL has done a poor job of doing.
You would expect, and I would wonder, and you would assume, we can Monday morning quarterback this all the time, right? With drafts and with scouts looking at kids and then going to the parents and have that conversation. That hopefully that a conversation around that, right? The onus and the responsibility of getting your Kaiser, getting your Sutter, getting all the stuff
Yeah.
that you need to make sure that you're taken care of again, pre, intra, and post your career. I wonder if that's happening, and I wonder if folks are just weighing the odds and saying, you know what, I'm gonna go out there and I'm gonna play because this is my passion. I want to play the game, and if something happens because it, right. It's a dice game, right? It's a
Yeah,
it's a cost of doing business, right?
yeah,
I can run out there on the field. I can become a Damar Hamlin, or I can run out there on the field and become like a Joe Theismann. And
yeah,
young cats won't remember that story, but
yeah,
Google
yeah,
what
yeah,
happened to
yeah,
Joe
yeah, yeah.
Theismann. So
But I think what kind of like we got to remember, like most NFL players, like I think over 85% aren't millionaires. They don't make millions.
good point.
Only the
Yeah,
top 15% makes millions of dollars.
yeah,
The other ones make a comfortable salary. They make pretty good. Not that they're broke. They make decent money. But again, when you're making decent money and you're hanging on for your job and you're trying to make it that 5 years so you can get that pension, that life is hard. I think they're living for the now, right? Let's say they're making $350,000 a year. After taxes, they're bringing home about $200,000 a year. So they're living better than middle class. But you got to think you're in the situation for 3 years. You make $600,000, but the expenses you have and the lifestyle you live is accumulated at $600. 600,000 over those 3 years really, really fast, and you're not prepared what's going to come next, right? You don't.
wow.
You've been playing football. You've been playing football all your life. That's been kind of your livelihood and the thing you love to do. But now that it's about to come to an end, what do I do?
Mm,
Um, what job do I get? What? How do I mean? Again, how I don't. Some of these guys don't even know how to write a resume, and I know that for a fact because I know a young lady. She goes and teaches NFL players how to do their resume.
mm,
She teaches them how to do the resume, what they want to go into, um, where they want to go. So from not knowing how to do a resume, from not having any job skills levels, because all these guys are elite athletes. So from the time they've been in high school to college, they probably never even had a job, not even a McDonald's job. So they don't even know how to. Those skills haven't transferred yet. And I'm not saying all of them. I'm not saying all of them. I'm just saying some of them they'll run into these things. So they don't have a. You got to think they haven't developed that other skill set but football. And whether a lot of the attributes that you learn from football does transfer into other jobs, but it's difficult, man. You got to think you're going from making $200,000 a year to somebody now paying you 36,000.
yeah, that's
Right.
that could be devastating, right? That could be absolutely
Yes.
devastating. So,
Yes.
mm,
So, like I said, I think the NFLPA has done a poor job of setting its players up for the future because they don't. Because it's just like a union, right? A union protects you. NFLPA doesn't protect them. They just protect the now and the bag that's going for now. They don't protect the ones that are about to retire and the ones that are going into those other situations. And now we run into situations like McKenzie. He's now in a dark place and he has nowhere to turn. And he thought these people are going to, have a handout to help him, and they're not. They're not involved. They're like they're done.
yeah. Well, I'll tell you what. I'm glad your video cleared up when you said that, because that's going to be the segment right there that I'm gonna push out after the show, talking about the NFLPA. So I'm glad your video cleared up right when you said, when you said that. Mr. Cox is saying that's a choice. Everyone has to learn that stuff at some point. Some do it early in life, and others later in life. That's facts right there, brother. Appreciate you for that one right there. All right, man. Let's go ahead and keep moving. Unless you wanted to talk a little bit more about, but this next one is somewhat related, uh, in a different sense. It's not. It could be. Let me stop beating around the bush. But again, let me say what's up to all the folks in the comments. Appreciate everyone for being here. I'm not sure what happened with my comments. They're not showing up on the screen, but I'm gonna read them anyway. So if you say something nice, I'm gonna say it. If you say something nasty, I'm gonna sick my tail on you. Um, Player safety, man. Let's talk a little bit about this. And this is probably one of the last athletes I would have ever talked about. But hey, you know what? She does what she does, and she's pretty darn good at it. LSU gymnast Olivia Dunn. The young guys know her, right? I mean,
Yeah.
what is it? What is it? The Generation Z now, or what?
Yeah.
What generation is it? Is that the generation it is?
Yeah.
Okay, they know who she is. And listen, I have, when doing some research for this story, I have watched. She all right, right? She all right out there on the gym floor. But the highlight here is LSU gymnast Olivia Dunn doesn't attend in-person classes due to safety concerns. So high profile athletes on campus at LSU. LSU is a huge place. Think about something like even like a UCLA, which I got experience at, something like Stanford, something like a Oregon State, or the school that your son's at. high profile athletes out there that now are making money for their name, image, and likeness and representing themselves, representing the school, getting paid for what they do out there trying to win titles, things of that nature, have an issue with attending classes for safety concerns from their fellow classmates, and they're not even attending class. Now, so to be honest with you, I don't think this is brand new.
No.
What I do think this is different. Again, back to some conversation that you and I have had before. Now you got these folks like Olivia Dunn, who is making, I think she's probably the second highest paid NIL athlete, $3 million. May have the chart here as well. Yeah, boom. $3.4 million in NIL deals. She got $3.4 million as a gymnast at LSU. There's going to be somebody sitting in the back of that class of that biology lecture hall that has nothing to lose.
That's a shiny bag of nickels, boy.
Right?
Shiny bag of nickels.
That's the thing right there. So let's talk about this. And folks, y'all chime in your thoughts on this right here. The safety concerns for these high-profile athletes. You see the Angel Reeses, the as soon as he leaves, Flower J. Johnson, Caitlin Clark. I mean, names that we all watch and we expect to see, but you know, they're making these big dollars from NIL, but now have safety concerns because they're millionaires. They can't even attend college classes for fear of their own safety. Your thoughts on this, man?
It was a reality. I don't know if I've spoken into reality, but I mean, we talked about this day one when the NIL first dropped.
Day zero. We've been talking about NIL. Yeah.
I said this is going to be a concern for safety issues. Period. It's going to be a concern for safety. Period.
You see that we start talking about folks. Start talking about money. And that was probably the police calling you. What that was.
Because you got to think. A lot of students. Let's just you got to peel back the onion or the layers. You know, you got kids that come from nothing that are in school and not really making a lot of money, and then all of a sudden you're a person that's getting millions and millions of dollars. And then again, when you're poor or you feel like you're poor, you feel like you don't have. You know what I'm saying? Desperation starts to set in. Kids that can't pay their student loans. Kids that can't, that are drowning in debt all of a sudden. And then you know, not saying it's right, but I'm just saying that's the reality of it. And I see you walking by with your brand new Chanel bag or your brand new Gucci bag, and you got all these nice shoes on. And I know, and I've read that you're worth $3.4 million, and you're driving a brand new Lexus or whatever across campus. Hey man, some people are willing to take that chance and will rob her, or will threaten her, or will hurt her. I mean, and I was talking more, and I wasn't even thinking it from a female perspective. I was thinking it from a male perspective. Can you imagine sexual assault, kidnapping?
Yeah, these are the top 8 female athletes in NCAA, and everyone knows who they are. You got the Haley you got Caitlin, all these folks, right? Again, so not just.
So her going across campus. If they can grab kids from in front of Walmart, people all around, or what makes you think a van can't come out and snatch her up when she's walking to her car?
Yep.
And hold her for ransom. What makes, and remember, we haven't even got to the point. What makes me think that somebody's not going to hold her little brother for ransom and tell her you need to give us $100,000? People act like I'm crazy when I talk about those things. Those things are realities that I think potentially are going to happen when giving these college athletes that are between the ages of 17 to 23 all this kind of money, and then you publicize it. I do believe the NCAA made a big mistake by doing it. They shouldn't have let this Pandora's box open, because now they're now professional athletes at the collegiate level are now subject to danger. Yeah. They just are. I mean, I don't know if anyone's ever been to USC. USC is in the middle of South Central LA.
Yeah, USC is in a challenged neighborhood. I would say that. Yeah. I don't want nobody from the neighborhood coming after me. But yeah, USC is in a challenged neighborhood for sure.
University of Temple's in a challenged area in Philadelphia.
Okay.
Can you imagine a top athlete, which we know they go to USC, a top athlete walks off campus in the South Central LA? What makes you think that those people that are in South Central LA that are desperate for anything and trying to catch any kind of angle break they want from trying to get at him and kidnapping him?
Someone who's not LeBron James's son. So think Bronny, right? So who doesn't have already the high end security and all that stuff? But yes, some top tier athlete, high profile athlete. You're right. I don't think folks are thinking about that.
No, no. Everybody just looks. Oh, he's making the money in NIL, and there's nothing. There's a whole other certain worry and certain concern when it comes to that. And when we talked about, like you said, day zero, no one was talking about that at all. Everybody was talking about the money. Like the quarterback from Stroud, who was driving, I believe, was he driving around Alabama with a custom-made Mercedes-Benz?
Yeah,
or something like that.
Come on.
CJ Stroud. So you mean to tell me he just put a target on his back? Now, mind you, I know he's young and he wants to go these places and do all that. But when you're in that situation, it's just like all these rappers get killed, these high-pro rappers get killed. People are always looking for a situation to come up and a situation to get you in your target. These young people have millions and millions of dollars, and on top of that, they think they're invincible, right? Because they're these high-profile athletes. They're great on the field. They command so much attention. So much media is all around them. There's nothing to stop somebody that's desperate from attacking them. There's nothing, and we already know college campuses and security is already loose at best, right?
So there you go, right there to answer Josh's question right there. Appreciate you for being here, brother. Too, he was saying, is security provided like by the school, and again, unless you're one of those top echelon athletes, I'm not sure if you saw the chart that I had here. And again, we just talking about on the women's side, right? We haven't even talked about the dudes, right? This is the top 8 right here. I doubt that they're providing proper security for all these athletes at all times, especially someone sitting in their class. That would be something like, again, back to the James family. Someone like LeBron would hire a security to sit in the back of the lecture hall for Bronny when he starts attending that.
Remember at Small Jackson State.
Yeah.
Deion Sanders' son, they broke into his car twice.
Sure did. Folks, y'all better look that up. They sure did. They broke into.
His daddy's the biggest thing since sliced bread there. Mm-hmm. His son walks around with security. His car was parked in supposedly a secure spot on campus. They broke into his car twice. So, granted, that's not harming him, but the fact of the matter, security is loose at best in college campuses, regardless, unless you hire a personal bodyguard to walk with you 24/7 where you're going. So when Shiloh and his father are like the hottest thing, the biggest thing in the town, they can't be protected from crime situations. Can you imagine somebody just say in USC where there's superstars and everybody everywhere? So he's just one of the many.
He's one of many. Yeah, you're right.
Yeah, you get caught slipping. You got to think. That means you can't go out to eat. That means you can't go to a restaurant. We already seen that happen to a rapper that got killed at Roscoe's Chicken and Waffles. Mm-hmm. You can't go out to a club because you know what happens there.
Don't do that.
So you have to think. You're getting money at this young age, and it's been publicized. You almost have to put yourself in a bubble to be protected, and that's what she's saying. She's putting herself in a bubble because she feels like there's some situations that are unsafe for her, right? In case she goes somewhere. Talked about it day zero, and now it's becoming a reality.
That's crazy, man. What do we come to, man? Right? We've talked for a long time before NIL that back in the Reggie Bush, even before the Reggie Bush days, right? Athletes are out there putting their body on the line. They're entertained. They're bringing all this revenue to the schools. Pay these folks for their autographs and their likeness and their jerseys and their time and their effort and what they do. Now we're paying them. Yeah, it was a cluster the way it all went down. Yeah. True, right? And just like you said, it shouldn't have gone out the way it is, and all this stuff shouldn't necessarily be publicized. But now, Flo J, Caitlin, Paige, Jada, Haley, just these ladies on this chart right here don't even feel safe going to class because they're
not going out to a club, right? Not going out to a party.
They can't go to speech class because they scare someone may shank them sitting behind them, just to grab whatever money they got in their purse,
or just harassing them. Period. Like you got to think the young gymnast lady. She's an attractive young lady, right? So I'm sure she are just getting catcalled. Guys picking up. Can you now you magnify that times 25? Mm-hmm. On top of that, she has money. So now on top of that, she's getting noticed by people that she's never even been noticed by now. So all this times 10, and that's just to walk out of her dorm room because she probably stays in the sports dorm, to go to her sports dorm to walk to her classroom, which maybe, let's say, is a length of 2 football fields. Can you imagine what she goes through with walking that length?
Yeah.
From cat calls to the possibility of snatching her, to possibly somebody calling her a name. She can't exploit her money or show off or buy herself nice things because that's going to draw even more attention for somebody to possibly do something to her. That's just going to class, and imagine she got to come back through the same thing with classes.
No, she take class at night. Listen,
Yeah,
I've been on UCLA. I'm not gonna talk madness about UCLA, but listen, I've been on
yeah,
UCLA campus. I've been able to sneak in the dorm rooms, or not dorm rooms, but into the buildings, and the RA or the person that's supposed to be watching is just letting us beep in and crash through the doors, right? So from a security perspective, right there, it's lax anyway. So like Kevin Cox
yeah,
is saying, when he was at Ohio State, none of the top athletes had security; they were just regular students. You don't know who UCLA,
yeah,
largest public university in the country, so it's right there on the street. Folks can walk
yeah,
in from
yeah,
off of the street. And I'm
yep,
sure it's like that at some of these other campuses as well. So you just don't know who is lurking in the halls. And again, not trying to scare anybody, but this is reality. And that's what these athletes are saying. You want me to represent the school? Cool. You gonna pay me for what I do and for some of these brand endorsements that I got. She's 20 years old. She says she's got brand deals with American Eagle, Planet Fuel, Body Armor, Grubhub, Linktree, for golly, listen, she got
yeah,
$3.4 million at 20 years old.
yep.
Somebody gonna be
But now,
lurking in the bathroom or around the corner in
some
Mendocino Hall.
somebody's gonna be licking their chops, and it's even the people she knows are gonna be licking their chops, right?
Yes. Yep.
The people you know, because those are the people that typically do
Them the worst. Them the,
unfortunate things to you.
yeah, they the worst.
And she's got to deal with with everything going around and trying to concentrate on her sport. I can only imagine, like she said, difficult. But like you said, this situation, this scenario is nothing new. The thought of it is nothing new. They can't go to class. The bottom line is now there's going to be, I think, even left emphasis on getting the education, right? While you're a high pro athlete,
Yeah, that's sad.
like that no longer is part of the deal no more. Like the deal is you to go to school, graduate. That was kind of the deal why you got to get a scholarship and then play. Now they're making all this money. Now they're just, and I can only imagine LSU in the middle of Louisiana, by near Slidell, Louisiana.
My
Man,
goodness. And they just won the champion. So a lot of folks from the basketball source, a lot of folks was watching them. And
yes.
Again, Louisiana, a lot of folks out there again.
Not the safest place.
Nothing. They don't have nothing to lose.
Just gonna put it not like the safest place to be. Yes.
Yeah.
So I'm stressing it more so because I can only imagine what they are subject to, right?
Yeah.
What they're subject to, like what's going on. And you would think they would be, like you said, 100% protected. They would feel safe. I almost think it's the opposite, man. Paranoia sets in. I don't know who I can trust. I don't know what's going on. The first something bad happens to you, you're not protected, paranoia is going to set in. Especially depending on what kind of crowd and the element you hang around, right? I can't go to, and you got to think, she's 20 years old. She can't go to a party, not a normal party. She can't go to a normal frat house party because soon as somebody recognizes her, it's on. She's going to be bombarded. She's going to be harassed. She's going to be whatever, either in a good way or a bad way. She's going to be put in a situation where it could be possibly danger. So, her, in exchange for that bag that she got, she has to give up her whole college, the living part of her college experience, right? The fun part, I should say, of the college experience, going out, doing this, and you have to be leery of your friends.
That's crazy because the tail end of that article, that's exactly what she said. She wants to focus this last senior year on the experience of going to school, right, and not having to worry about that, but she can't do that. But let me ask you this, because Marvin just stepped into the comments. Appreciate you, brother, for being here as well. And I'm gonna ask you this before I read the comment to everyone. Did someone like her, did she bring this upon herself? Some of this upon herself? And the reason I ask that is because he says she's also adding to her problem with her fans only media. Flip the words around and you know what that means when she's got the only fans. But did she bring some of this attention onto herself of some shady folks because of some of the avenues that she's gone through to expose herself, to become more of a brand person, to get some more revenue, whatever? Look at me, literally, because that's what that site is all about. Did she bring this upon herself?
You can make the argument either way. I say no. I don't think she brought it on herself. No one wants to bring negativity in your life. No one wants to bring harm into their life.
Yeah.
So she didn't bring it on. She didn't bring it on herself. Now, did she do some things that garnered attention from everybody, and that's including the bad part of it? Yes, she has. But she's also 20 years old, man. Come on, like she's a 20-year-old girl. How many 20-year-olds ain't getting drunk at a party, falling? All those things happen. I just believe now it's high. She's high profile, and there's a lot at stake. I'm telling you, mark my words, and I hope it doesn't happen. Just like we see all these young rappers getting killed and passed away, it's gonna start happening to young athletes. It is because the element they like to hang around and they like to be around, and the situation they like to be in, and all of a sudden you put a person that had nothing with millions and millions of dollars in their pocket. Hey, what the Migos guy, Pop Smoke, you know, they if you're in that element, man, that those things kind of happen. You start to become a shiny bag of nickels to somebody, and you can't say that nobody's not plotting against you because they are.
Be careful out there, folks. Be careful out there, folks. Kevin says after NIL, as it currently sits, came out, these are college athletes, not students first. Let's just get rid of school part and turn this into professional, quote unquote, light. And then Joshua says, "Wait a minute, she got OnlyFans." Listen, man, I check with Marvin on the link. You know, maybe he got some discounts on her subscription fees, but I don't know. But
I mean,
we cannot confirm or deny that Olivia Dunn
is her OnlyFans any different from a college student working in a strip club? I mean, the only difference between the strip club
man,
person
that's a good question, man. Oh my
millions
God,
of dollars.
hold on. That's a good question.
She's not bringing in millions of dollars, but she's making money to help her, help sustain her livelihood while she's in college. Does she bring negative attention? Pretty sure, but she does. But we don't look at it the same light. The only difference is there's a $3.4 million in front of this one instead of $3,400 in front of the strippers.
Right.
So the girl that's in college has to go through a whole bunch of crap. Can you imagine magnifying that by 10,000 that this young lady has to go through? And she still has to concentrate on being a superior athlete. And I mean, school, you're supposed to be concentrating on school, but I don't think school is probably, that's the third thing on her list or fourth thing on her list she has to, get through and do.
Mm-hmm.
So, man, I told you before, the NIL, as good as everybody was raving about it, how it is, they didn't think about the social economic effects it's going to have when doing this. And now we're 2 years in. Now we're starting to see it and talk about it, things that's happening.
We're starting to have real significant problems. And while I didn't have the screen up here, okay, and not that I'm doing my research.
Mm-hmm.
There was a OnlyFans page for Olivia Dunn. Didn't look like there was anything there. I didn't click in it. So someone probably set up a parody page, but her website shows her incredibly vast numbers of social influence. Right. And you guys, if you guys know, right, she's got millions of followers all over Instagram and YouTube and Twitter, all the platforms. So brands are looking at her. So she is a commodity. And like Joshua said, yeah, she really making that bank. And the trading, man, appreciate you for being here all the way from Bali. Shouts out to you, man. What about 50 Cent giving out about not getting enough money of his father? What about 50 Cent giving out about not getting enough money of his father? What about 50 not getting no? Write that again, brother. He in Bali. He sleep, man. I think it's early for you, man. I appreciate you.
But I mean, in any of the situations when you're like in these people's situation where they are a marketing juggernaut, right? Because they have so many followers, so that they have the capacity to market and put things out to so many people, and they're getting paid for it. There's nothing wrong with that. They've leveraged the system to work in their benefit. The thing that comes about now is the environment you're in. 50 Cent is not in that environment anymore, so he can say all the outlandish things he wants to say and do what he wants to. He's no longer in that day-to-day environment. This young lady is in that day-to-day environment going to school. She hasn't been removed from that environment yet.
Yeah.
Now, when she does, things might be different, but until then, she's not. It's going to be difficult, man, for a lot of athletes. I'm telling you, I'm waiting to hear when somebody, prominent athlete gets kidnapped, or prominent athlete gets robbed, because it's going to happen. It is. It's just the way things are. In the way we are in the world right now, we have more and more people in desperate situations.
I did not want to highlight that story one of these weeks. I did not want to have the story that, and I'm not even going to name a name because I don't want to, I believe in positive energy. I don't want to have that story that one of these high profile athletes, somebody is ended up lost or
Mhm.
missing because of they went down the wrong path down their street, down their neighborhood, and now someone's got to ransom them out for them. So okay, I see. Oh, so and it was talking about 50 Cent's son asking about child support when he turned 18, and the fact that 50 didn't really. I do remember that story, man. I do remember that
Yeah, yeah,
story. Yeah. So I mean, yeah, that's not necessarily a social impact of sport, but 50 Cent, entertainment. So the kids are watching that too. I didn't get in. I didn't read all of the details on that, but I do remember the story that is, and I think they hashed it out or they had the conversation and they trying to make amends on that. But yeah, 50 didn't. 50 went through some monetary issues himself, right? So he
yeah,
went,
yeah.
but
I mean,
50,
you gotta understand. Like him, he's one of the few people that I follow, and I think he still holds on to his frugal ways when he was younger,
yeah,
right? So he still
yeah,
operates on that capacity, even though he has millions of dollars. He's not a person that From what I heard, he doesn't wear real jewelry. He wears fake jewelry. He says there's no need for it because it has no appreciation value. So he's a pretty smart guy, at least with his finances. So with him and his son's situation, I think that's more of a personal issue between him and his son's mother. Why the
yeah,
situation
yeah,
it fell out the way it did. I don't think it has anything that he probably doesn't love his son or he doesn't want to be involved with his son. I just think there's some things they need to hash out collectively as a family. But money's not the issue. I don't think the money part is the issue at all. Finance is not the issue. I think that's more of a relationship issue than anything,
yeah.
or
Good
a
point.
reconcilable relationship more than anything. This young lady at LSU, this is totally monetarily. She's threatened because of the monetary value she is now, and she's in an environment where it could be dangerous. And like we said, at the campus, UCLA is very loose. I can only imagine LSU. I'm sure it's not a closed campus. I'm quite sure anyone can walk up on there. I'm sure anybody that wants to dress himself up and act like her friend can try to see her and see her in class and could possibly threaten her anyway. And not saying they're doing that, but the possibility it could happen. So it's a lot to work out, man. It's gonna be interesting how things work out. But I never ever thought about it from a female's perspective. I always thought about it from a man's perspective. I can only imagine what these high profile female athletes have to go through. Like they got to go through so much more than their male counterparts do.
Love it. Appreciate you, man. Josh was saying he agrees with you, man. I'll figure out what's going on with these comments, but at least, hey, we still moving along. So y'all don't worry about how the sausage is being made behind the scenes. Again, it's been a tough week over here, so we gonna try to trudge through it. It's been a tough week as well. Moving on to the next story, in a couple of sports. We're gonna talk both of the sports, especially from the U.S. perspective and one from the boxing ring.
Mm.
Was that a fight? I'm talking about Jake Paul, and I swear I wasn't going to buy the fight, and I didn't buy the fight. And you and I talked about this beforehand. And said, man, I sure hope Nate Diaz put them hands on him. Look,
Yep.
he from Stockton. Nate Diaz is a dog, right? He know how to fight, and he don't play. Unfortunately, what he did play because I watched the highlights or
Yeah.
whatever you want to call it of the match, and he was taunting. He was talking to the audience. He was putting them in what's called a guillotine hold. So he was putting them in an MMA fight. Nate was putting Jake in guillotine holds and things like that. So he wasn't taking it 100% serious.
No.
And I almost wonder if he did that because he may have been. And I don't want to say this about Nate Diaz because I don't want him coming to my house. I wonder if he was a little hesitant, a little scared of the ramifications of if Jake did land one of them rights or did land one of them uppercuts and really knocked him down. He stumbled him a few times. He knocked him down. At the end of the fight, by decision, Jake Paul won. Nate Diaz is here after you see the video right here talking nonchalant. He didn't care. No sweat off his back. No dirt on his shoulder, nothing like that. Your thoughts on this match? Not gonna call it even a fight. Your thoughts on Nate Diaz's approach to the match and his reaction afterwards. And then I got one more question for you and the audience, still related to this. So your thoughts on this?
Yeah, to me, Nate, he talked a good game like he was going to take it serious. He didn't take it serious. I think he was just chasing the bag, and whatever happened, happened. He didn't really. It wasn't like he cared about anything on it. Also, I'm tired of this is the one part about the Jake Paul fights that I'm starting to notice in the pattern that I hate. Is like he's fighting guys extremely smaller than him.
Yes.
You know, way smaller than him. Nate Diaz is like 20 pounds lighter than Jake Paul. So obviously, if Jake Paul throws a haymaker with all his weight behind it, it's gonna do a little bit of damage on Nate Diaz, more so than anything. I think Jake Paul now, if he wants to be taken seriously as a boxer and as an athlete, it's time for him to step into the ring with a real boxer and someone that's within his weight class, instead of doing these internet fights that he's doing. But I mean, I can't argue with him because they're bringing in numbers and they're bringing in money, right? The bottom line is to make money. He's figured out the Da Vinci Code in order to market himself and get these kind of fights and make money. I think it's I will never spend my money on it ever.
Yeah.
I will never waste a dime on this thing. And we're just talking about it because not because of Jake Paul him winning, it's because Nate Diaz didn't even show up. Like he was shimmying, pretending like he was knocked out.
Yeah, come on, man.
It was just like
Jake. I saw the highlight. I didn't pay for it. I saw the highlights, and Jake Paul shows up on a tank as he's coming into the arena, and like Kevin said, this was all a choreographed mess, not a boxing match.
It's not a boxing match, man. It's more like it's an internet show, right? It's like we're watching a reality show, but in the event of a supposedly boxing.
It's terrible.
So I like it, the fact that it brings light to to boxing, so people will be more interested in it. But Jake Paul makes a mockery of it. That makes it. Makes
him and his brother. So now his brother, was it Logan Paul, is talking about getting into the ring. So the follow-up question that I want to ask, and it's in the subtitle right there: would you watch an MMA rematch? Because so now Nate is saying, I want some more of this money, right? I got a little bit of this Jake Paul internet money. Okay, so I got shook a little bit, but now let's get into the octagon. Let's do an MMA rematch for some more dollars. Would you watch something like that? And do you think that's going to be good for either sport? Because it's two different sports, in the MMA versus boxing.
No, it would be foolish for Jake Paul to do it. Stupid for him to do it. I mean, from just a business sense, why would I go in the octagon? The reason why I chose to box you is because I know you're at a disadvantage, right?
Mm-hmm.
You're at a disadvantage. Fight me in boxing. I got somewhat of skills. I'm bigger than you, but I'm eliminating everything that you do strong, which is Nate Diaz is grappling, taking you to the ground, and putting you down. I eliminate that. So why would I say, okay, now I'm going to go to your strength in order to give you more money? No, I'm just going to move on to the next person and fight them. For Nate Diaz, unfortunately, this is a career ender for him. Unless he gets back in the MMA and he beats somebody with a name. Otherwise, it's time for him to take his money and ride off into the sunset of Stockton. That's the reality of it. I can't hear you. I can't hear you on mute. You're on mute.
I say, he got a taste of that money, though. He got a taste. So, he right? Nate Diaz is no slouch, right? Again, I call him a dog because every time I see him, he's a bleeder, though.
Yeah.
He can fight. I'm listen again. I don't want Nate coming up to my crib.
If Nate comes in here, we got a few bets for him. He can't take on all of us.
Again, I've said it before. We got some things around here, but I'm not trying to instigate. I got some like folding chairs too.
Yeah, for Nate, Alabama. For Nate Diaz, unfortunately. I mean, I think if he would have went there and handled himself really, really well and fought a good fight and lost then, it would be different. But he kind of made a mockery of it as well because he wasn't taking it serious and he was playing around, trying to make it more entertaining. So now it's hard for us as fans to take him serious, right? Are you really serious about getting in there and doing this or not? So he brought that part up on himself. From a business standpoint for Jake Paul, it makes no sense. Why would I give you another chance and go to your strength? It's stupid. I can make just as much money fighting another bum, and maybe even more money if you got a name in boxing, where my strength is against another guy, another small MMA fighter that's trying to rekindle his career. I can fight him and make some more money and call it a day, and I don't have to risk anything. Maybe just a few bumps and bruises if you hit me. But for Jake Paul, he makes a mockery of boxing, man. Again, until he says, you know what, I'm really gonna get into the boxing world. I'm really gonna become a professional boxer. I'm gonna fight somebody that's in my weight class, and we're gonna go at it. We can never take him serious as a boxer. He'll always be this guy that's on the internet putting together these bogus fights.
putting together these circus bouts, and like Kevin says, Jake Paul needs to fight someone who's same age, and not all these past prime non-boxers.
Yes,
So
I agree.
we're still not paying for it. You and I are
No.
still not giving our hard-earned money to
Hey,
whomever is promoting them
hey,
to watch this
Kanye
madness.
West concerts and Jake Paul are on the top of the list. I'm never paying
Right.
for.
Yeah, it's true. I ain't never going to pay for no Kanye concert. That he is officially banned in this household.
Yeah.
All right. So the other sport want to talk about. And listen, I see folks that are watching. Appreciate y'all. Where my likes at? Where our likes at? Come on, we are talking about some good topics here, and
Mhm.
we are looking to expand the reach, and the way that these algorithms work, the way that YouTube works, is by folks showing the love and just either commenting and or putting a like there. That helps with retention, that helps with engagement, that helps with putting on folks pages and shelves and things of that nature. So if y'all could do that, we'd appreciate that. Watching via TikTok live, it didn't seem like Nate took it serious until the last 30 seconds of each round. Up until then, he was Jake's punching bag.
Mhm.
It's
Yeah.
true. That's true.
Can't
All right,
argue.
let's talk about another sport, and
Yeah.
this is a sport, and you were getting into it. You were happy about it. I was happy that you were happy about it.
Hey,
Is the main thing, to be honest with you. But man,
down
oh
goes
man,
Frazier. Down
man,
goes Frazier.
this hurts. This really hurt. The U.S. women's national team is out of the World
You know
Cup.
what's crazy though? Before you go into your setup,
Man,
man,
I don't even
they,
know if I want to go into the setup. So go ahead, brother.
they didn't even act like they cared after they lost the shootout. Like it wasn't like I was like, oh come on,
That's no.
like
That's okay. So that's what I was gonna get into. Okay, come on.
yeah, it just seemed like they didn't. I mean, it seemed like they did really. It was emotionless, right? It was emotionalist. Like other teams are showing passion. By the way, man, if y'all watch it, man, France is dope. I like France. They hella good.
That's what you get your money on. Yeah.
Yeah, I like France. Now the USA is definitely out of it. I like France. I mean, France is going to do some damage. They got a long way to go, but they're pretty good. But the US, man, I thought there was so much hype around him, and they try to make this. They almost try to make us believe everything they were doing, but their play wasn't showing what they were really capable of doing. And we got to remember on the USA team, and this is one of the commentators made a point. The USA team is a tale of two generations, right? Old and young.
Mm-hmm.
You know, you have these older players that have been here a couple of times that are trying to school these young players on how to play and how to do it. And they think it was even though individually they're very talented, it was a clash of personalities and things to go. Which I was like, oh, that can make sense. But it made more sense when they lost because there was no emotion. It's like they didn't care.
Yeah,
It's like, okay,
it just didn't look right, right?
yeah.
Again, when we watch any other team, when we watch any other sport, and any other year, right?
Mm-hmm.
We see the passion in Rapinoe's eyes. We see the passion in all the players, and now hindsight being 2020, what Carly Lloyd was saying on TV,
Yeah.
right? She was saying, "Hey, they don't look like they showing up. Look like they just
I'm
rolling out of
telling
bed."
you.
And I'm paraphrasing. Look like they just rolling out of bed and hitting out there on the pitch and just trying to do something. And they scored 0 goals.
That's
for an
what the person
extended
was
period of
saying.
time.
The generation gap, it seems they don't get along. They didn't. It seems like there was just something there that they didn't mesh as a team. They said all the right things in interviews, right? You said your PR team was great because
Yeah.
you put it out there very good. But in all actuality, they had such a big age generational gap that they were just saying, I don't think they vibe, right? And rightfully so. They don't listen to the same music, right? They don't vibe in the same hotel. The likes that I like as an older person aren't the same as a young person, right? I don't eat
Yeah,
the same thing.
that's those Gen Zs, right? So you got the
Yeah,
16-year-old, the youngest player ever, and then you got I don't know how old someone like a Megan Rapinoe is, but yeah, you got that gap.
yeah. So
Julie
they're talking
Ertz,
about their
right?
family
Yeah.
and their kids. I got family, my kids, and my wife and my husband. I want to get back to. These kids are talking about partying, going out to the club later on the night, hanging out and eating Skittles and stuff. So I think I didn't realize there was such a in these kind of things. I didn't realize chemistry is so important. I think this is the chemistry is very important when putting together a team. And I think when you have too big of an age gap, it becomes a problem more so than the help. You know, young don't want to listen to the old all the time, right? They don't want to pay attention to the messages that are being there. They don't want to.
And when
you know,
you got Dennis Robbins' daughter,
yeah,
she got some of her daddy in her. So
got to. So
yeah.
you don't want to take that. You don't want to hear what she's got to say, especially when we're struggling and when we're having a hard time. I don't really want to hear what you have to say. You're not scoring either, so how are you going to tell me when you're not doing this? You know what I'm saying? It starts to become that bickering in battle. Instead of saying, hey, we're taking you under wing. That it helps in some ways. Like some people will listen to the older generation and fall under the wing and do what they're supposed to do. It just seemed like this team, they did. I think they put a bunch of high-profile soccer girls together and said they're going to mesh, and it didn't mesh. And I think there has to be something said for chemistry when you play these games, which I didn't realize it. Guys, I've never been a big soccer fan until like now. Like now is when it's like watching international women's soccer on the World Cup. I'm like, damn, the lights flicked on. That it's a great sport. It's a good way to watch it. I still want to watch the men's, and I still ain't gonna watch the U.S. soccer.
Well, yeah, okay. Well, maybe watch a little Messi. Well, maybe watch.
Maybe if I go
I
to
know
the game live,
you
it
got
might be
challenges.
different.
I know you got problems with Messi because
I mean, good. He's old. He's older. He's older now.
But he's still okay. We're not going to deviate. It's not going to be a squirrel moment. But maybe we'll come back. But so okay. So Kevin says Rapinoe is 38. So you got 16 years old to 38 years old. Like Kevin is saying, no unity, right? No vibe. It just wasn't there.
Yeah.
And Gretchen was saying, he says, this soccer story was hard because as a longtime soccer mom to a daughter who played select from a young age and played in tournaments in Europe, this was so hard to watch. This was it because we did, even though the odds were stacked. We kind of thought that they were going to go a little bit further.
Okay, let me counter that. Yeah. When the Lakers got Karl Malone, Gary Payton, Paul Gasol, and had Kobe on there, they thought they were going to be the super team, and they never won. They didn't win a championship. When you build these super teams,
bringing up all this bad news.
When Houston got Charles Barkley, Scottie Pippen, Olajuwon, and Clyde Drexler, we thought everybody was like couldn't go because there was chemistry issues. I think the same thing falls over to this. You get all these high-profile all-stars that are there, and there's no chemistry. I think now that I get older and I see rosters, especially when I see the Olympic rosters, you see how they have all these superstars and they have two players like, how the hell they get on there? Yeah. What are these two guys doing on the basketball team? They're not the top 12 players. The reason is because they're chemistry fillers. They do those things that kind of gel those other guys together or help them gel together in certain aspects. So chemistry does have a lot to do when you're playing at that high level, because you got to be able to mix and gel with each other and figure it out and go through different things. This team, to me, and I'm not a soccer expert, but to me, it just feels like there was a big gap. There was a big gap, and I have to deal with what the announcer said. It has to be something with that age. It was really just too large of a gap. Someone 38, someone 16. She's basically playing mama, right? She's trying to be mama. And this one's probably I'm your peer.
Trying to be cool, trying to be cool and dance with them and trying to listen to their same music, but it's not. But Rapinoe, Ertz, and Morgan trying to talk to the 16, 17-year-olds, it's
just a vibe.
That's hard. Yeah, that's hard.
It's got to be so you can say a 16 with a 21-year-old, right? Because they can still relate, right? A 16 to maybe 25, maybe, but once you get beyond that 25. And these people that are 25 and above have families, spouses. Their lifestyle is completely different, right? They look to go home. They're not looking to party. A 6-year-old still going to high school, bro. She's still going to high school.
Yeah.
Her idol, I don't even know who the hottest dude out.
Yeah, who the hottest thing right now?
Yeah, who the hottest thing out right now?
Who knows what's happening with the kids right now?
she's into I don't know rapper, so she's into Lil Durk and all those dudes or whoever the hell they are. She's into that. While this person that's 25-year-old, 26-year-olds or above, they listening to us like Run DMC and NWA. I mean, completely off. Generations are way off. As far as I can only imagine this older person trying to communicate with this young person. And if she says something that doesn't vibe with the young person, you're instantly going to get rebellious, automatically, right at the top.
Okay. So let me bring up a counter to that, because Gretchen is saying, he says, I have to disagree. There is that same age discrepancy on the men's team, so I'm not so sure the age thing is that big of a factor. So
they're not winning either. They're not winning either, so okay. Just because you're similar to them, there's an age difference, just means it's not a problem.
very, very, very pragmatic right there. They not winning
Yeah,
it either. But
yeah.
hey,
I'll say this: whoever made
hey,
that comment,
Gretchen, knock him
yeah,
out. Don't knock me
no,
out.
no.
Knock him out.
For Gretchen, that comment, I mean, and maybe she does do this, but hang out with, I don't know how old she is, but hang out with somebody that's 15 years younger than you for a couple of days and tell me how that conversation goes. Not spoiling them, don't give them everything, but just hanging out with somebody that's 15 years younger than you and tell me how that conversation goes after a couple of days. You're gonna be like, I don't understand what the hell's going on.
I don't
I
know
don't know
what they
what they're
talk, what
doing.
they listening
I
to.
don't know what
Yeah.
they're doing. And that's even if it's your own child. That's even if it's your child. If you try to hang out with a couple of days, that's your child. You be like, man, I don't know what's going on. This is different. I can only imagine a stranger. And then you're talking about a stranger that's another professional. That she's basically your
High level
peers.
person,
Yeah.
right? Personality grade A plus, right? Right. Again, you
Yep.
got these higher achievers. So there's
Yeah.
some truth to that, some validity to that.
I think there's some problem with that. I don't know if it's all 100% true, but I think it has some validity to it. There's that age gap difference. Yes.
That is good, man. Appreciate everyone in the comments here. Marvin is saying the coach should have straightened it out. Gretchen says snap. So I guess when you hit it with the men aren't winning either. I mean, it's like, oh, okay, that kind of makes sense. And she's 76 years young. Love that.
Rachel, I appreciate your comments. I think you're right on the right track. I really, please keep hitting them with us. I mean, I'm always open for the discussion, and I'll prove me wrong. I mean, that's just my opinion. It's just my opinion only. I'm not no expert.
Gretchen, we're gonna bring you on next week. I'm gonna have you like in the window right in between us. So just whenever you start swinging and throwing haymakers, that you swing in his direction and not mine. So hold on. So wait a minute. She typed in I'm 6. So obviously that was a finger flub. Then she said 76. She said, "Now I'm 67. That is not that much, but I hang in with my grandniece." Come on now, you got to get your fingers right now. How I'm gonna see you in October, and I'm gonna ask you face to face in Boston how old you are, my friend. All right. One more story. I'm gonna get into this again, and I see the folks coming in. Appreciate everybody for commenting. Kevin is saying, but ultimately, when it comes to sport, you should be speaking the same language. What's going on away from the court or the field shouldn't matter.
Oh, I disagree.
I'm gonna read that again. But ultimately, when it comes to sport, you should be speaking the same language. What's going on away from the court or the field shouldn't matter.
I disagree. What goes on, if it goes on off the court, can affect what's going on the court. I think it needs to be something that needs to be talked about. Because if it can affect the livelihood of the team and everything, it should be that. I agree with you. Your personal life doesn't matter. You should be able to go do what you want to do unless it affects or is detrimental to the team. And what I mean by like that situation, I don't know why some of my Kobe Bryant situation made it different, right? What he did was affected the team. The altercation thing he got into. So one thing, I don't care what he does off the court, but if he does something that's detrimental to the team or does something, that's what needs to be discussed, in my opinion.
There we go. Gotta have a rebuttal session or a segment of the show next time. We'll figure something out. I like that right there. Where people put us on the carpet right there with things. Last story.
Man, I like that, man.
That's what we do. This is for the community. This is what we talk about. We're not just sitting here chopping it up for ourselves. We're trying to have those conversations and make folks think, and maybe go out and do some action the next day. Be a little kinder to your neighbor. Be a little kinder to your coworkers and things like that. But I do think that came into play here. But ultimately, interesting. All right. Next story is kind of a good story. Old school cat, our age, old school cat, coming back into the fray, doing some things. And this was actually a story that was brought to our attention by community member Shirley Polk. Appreciate you, friend. Derek Fisher's back out there. And this is down in your neck of the woods.
Yeah.
Former Laker Derek Fisher is hired to coach at Crespi High School in Encino. Listen, the man has rings. He knows what he's doing. So, shouts out to him, even though he had a couple of losing seasons with a couple of teams that he was with. But he knows fundamentals. He knows how to teach. He knows how to coach. So how far away? Well, this is in LA, right? So this is a couple of hours away from you, right?
I think Encino is about, it's on the other side. So Crispi's in Encino. It's in the valley. So he's coaching in the Valley. So it's on the other side of LA. So it's probably about 45 minutes from UCLA.
Okay. So yeah,
Okay.
as y'all know, he was 18 years as a player. Then he was with the Knicks, with the Sparks, in the WNBA. So he's got some pretty good experience. So going over to Encino, which is an all-boys private school, 2-time state champion that competes in one of the toughest leagues in the state. So got to come in. He's going to have to bring out some of that triangle, some of that offense, some of that Phil Jackson. You're going to have to figure something out. You're going to have to win out the gate, right?
I think it's a good look, man. I think he's still willing to give back to someone the knowledge he has of basketball, and why not pour it into these young men that are soon probably going to be collegiate players and professionals in some capacity. Maybe not the NBA, but maybe G League or overseas or something. But he can pour into what he knows that to them, and still get back to the sport. I think there's nothing wrong with that. It's probably somewhere close to where he lives. Probably a great scenario for him where he wants to be. It's close to probably where he lives. It's in his community. He's giving back to his community. I don't care if he's playing. If he's a high school coach, he's not making that much money, right? He's not making the millions of dollars like he was before.
Yeah, he's not doing it for the numbers, right? He's definitely not doing it for the numbers.
He's making fraction of that. But I mean, we've seen this trend a lot. I mean, remember Eric Weddle, the All Pro? He's now coaching at Rancho Bernardo.
Where Eric at, man? Hold on. Where Eric at?
I haven't talked to him.
He's supposed to be in that window right there, right?
But what I'm saying, ex-NFL or ex-NBA or even ex-Major League Baseball players are giving back to their communities and coach at the high school level. I know Hardy Dickerson's the head coach over in Bishop O'Dowd, Oakland area. Again, like I said, Eric Weddle is here. And there's several other ex-NFL guys and ex-NBA guys that are coaching their relative sport. I think that's a great thing. And it puts them in a great situation, right? Great scenario. I can't forget about David Dunn, who coaches Lincoln High School, which just was state champions in football, ex-football player, played for the Raiders and the Bengals. So there's a lot of them, man. I think if they're willing to get back to the community and teach them and ingrain, the things they learn in order to make these young people successful, it's all good. And big shout out to Derek Fisher, man. I mean, he's been to the mountaintop, right? He's won the NBA championship.
He know what it's like. Yeah, a couple times, right? He been there. So
he played with arguably the greatest player, Kobe, ever. He played against the greatest player, Michael Jordan. So he's got a lot of stories and a lot of knowledge to share. I'm sure the parents are going to be more interested in the stories than the kids in the beginning, right? The parents are going to want to know all about.
And Tony over here talking about, say, beware D Fish on the prowl for them Cougars. See, there he go with. He's gonna start that with them.
Don't get him in that bar and start it again, man. Don't get him in that
don't do that. Them Encino moms better watch out. D Fish.
Yeah, he got a problem. I mean, he's been known in the problem a little bit, but I think he's gonna be all right.
That is true. Yeah, we won't go into that. Y'all Google.
What did you say? Fisher. Hey, what you do outside the court is nobody else's business. That ain't nobody.
Y'all Google what Derek Fisher. Yeah, he know how to shoot, but yeah, he know how to shoot. Okay. Yeah. I'm gonna leave that alone. Gangster Grandma Gretchen, appreciate you. I see you, my friend. That's how you know they truly love the game. Takes a special person to want to deal with parents. I'm just gonna say parents and then athletes, like Kevin is saying. So that is true. All right, man. There we go. Good show. We went into it. We talked about it. Social impact of sport. Talked about all kind of things. Player safety, player health, boxing versus dancing, whatever it was. It wasn't a boxing match. I don't know, whatever that was. And then what the next thing is going to be for these soccer players. We'll see. Yes. Go ahead and take us home, man. I think we did our job. I think we did a good thing. But yeah, go ahead and take us home, man.
Always, please, everyone out there, get used to being comfortable, having uncomfortable conversations, because that's the way we learn from each other, and that's the way we can grow. Team No Sleep, and we're out.
Y'all be good.